All right, I'm Mr. John Sallee, and um, I'm the principal here at Henderson Middle School. I'm going to present today, and we're going to talk about backward design and what that is. So, backward design, first of all, is a student-centered teaching technique, and it focuses on desired learning outcomes instead of topics to be covered. So it's a planning framework that involves designing learning materials, activities, and teaching strategies, and it supports learning objectives and prepares students for assessments. Its backward design can be used to create curriculum, subjects, and even single class sessions. So that's what backwards design is. And so there you go. I've outlined those points for you there. So backward design. So with that definition, it still may not be real clear. So I have an explanation that it's a little easier for me to understand. I have a couple of them for you that I'm going to share with you. So I want you to think about this. So these are two explanations of backward design that I found that were simple for me to understand. So the first one is I want you to consider a person that wants to build a new home. So a lot of times you hear that the foundation is the most important thing. And it is true that the foundation is, it's what everything stands on. So it has to be solid. But before that foundation is built, there has to be a plan put in place. And so before laying the foundation, before nailing a board, we have to go and we have to have some type of architectural design commissioned. So we have to have a plan. So we're going to go and we're going to make sure that every step of the building, the building process is done correctly. And that's what this plan is going to do. So this is how we know how much concrete to pour. This is how we know where to build the interior walls and the framing and everything that goes into the house. It's on this plan and it tells you where it goes. So a builder has a guide that keeps him focused on the end. He knows what the home will look like before it is built. So we understand this concept of building a house and use that analogy as far as teaching goes when we use the strategy of backward design. Another way of thinking about it is when we want to plan a trip. Okay, so if we want to go on a destination and we're going to plan this trip, a journey, and we're going to go ahead and determine the route and the activities and all the accommodations. And that's similar to education because desired learning outcomes should serve as the guide force behind instructional planning. So that means that educators must first identify what specific knowledge and skills and understanding students need to achieve by the end of the lesson, unit, or course. And then only then can they strategically select teaching methods and materials and assessments that effectively support those learning goals. This approach ensures that every aspect of the educational experience, from lesson plans to assessments, is purposely designed to maximize student understanding and achievement. So instead of relying on arbitrary and traditional methods of teaching that may not align with clear learning objectives, we're going to go with backward design. So the idea of backward design came from this guy in 1948 when I traced it back to Ralph Tyler, and he introduced this thing called backward planning. So it was known as backward planning, and he also called it understanding by design. And what it was he used a statement of objectives to indicate what changes should happen to students so that instructional activities could be planned to achieve those objectives. And then these two guys, Grant Wiggins and Jay McTighe, they came along in 1998 and they wrote a book called Understanding by Design. And they coined the term backward design, or that's when it was made popular, backward design was. So going from there, backward design was described by Wiggins and McTighe as an attempt to redirect instructors to focus more activities and instruction to the outcomes of instruction. So this helps to address the misconception that activity itself always leads directly to the desired learning, when in fact the activity may just start the process of engagement, curiosity, and understanding. Okay? So that's a little bit about what backward design is. So we're going to look at backward design in 3 stages. So we're going to have stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. And later on, we're going to go and we're going to align those to a TEK, and we're going to apply it to how us as teachers are going to use it in the classroom. So, number 1, stage 1, so we're going to identify desired results. So, that leads us to these questions. What should students know to understand and be able to do? What content is worthy of understanding? And what enduring understanding are desired? Okay, so when we look at stage 1, we're going to consider our goals and examine and establish content standards for us, it's going to be at the state level with the TEKs and our district levels of curriculum and the expectations that we set for them. So that's stage 1, okay? We're going to examine stage 1. Okay, stage 2, we're going to determine acceptable evidence. So this is how we will know if students have achieved the desired results that we're looking for. What we will accept as evidence of students' understanding and proficiency. So with stage 2, we're going to think about a unit or a course in terms of collected assessment evidence needed to document. So we're going to validate and that desired learning has been achieved. So we're going to document that whatever we desired for them to do, it's being achieved. We're going to consider upfront how we will determine if students have attained desired understandings. In stage 3, we're going to plan learning experiences and instruction with clearly identified results and appropriate evidence of understanding in mind. So it's now time to fully think through the most appropriate instructional activities. So stage 3 of backwards design, these are the key questions there. So what will need to be taught and coached, and how should it be best taught, and what materials and resources are best suited to accomplish these goals. And so things that we're going to remember that backward design is an educational planning process that starts with identifying desired learning outcomes. So we're using goals and objectives, and we're going to create instructional activities and assessments that ensure those outcomes are achieved. We're going to emphasize clarity in educational goals and alignment between teaching methods and assessment practices. And we're going to focus on understanding rather than superficial coverage of content. So this approach is going to help us as educators prioritize essential learning objectives and design effective lessons that support meaningful student learning and achievement. So now we're going to look at, instead of stages, I put these as steps. So we're going to implement our lesson. So today, you guys, as teachers, you have your core subjects. So instead of U.S. history and TEKS 8.8c, you can put in whatever you want as far as your needs are content areas wise. So What I did, though, I just used this one. So our first task, and we're going to identify the desired learning outcomes and objectives that we want our students to achieve. So we're looking at students will analyze the causes and effects of the American Civil War, focusing on key events, figures, and social, economic, and political impacts. Well, how is that? How are we going to tell if they analyze the cause? Well, here we go. So in step 2, once we've established our objective, so we want them to analyze, now step 2, we're going to think about how we will know if our students have achieved these objectives. So we design assessments that align directly with our objective. So students are going to write an essay, and they're going to analyze the cause and effects of the Civil War, and they're going to include specific references to the events and the social, economic, political impacts of these causes. So the essay should demonstrate an understanding of history and content, provide evidence and support. And so the third part of the plan, step 3, or stage 3 if you want to, this is where you're going to plan learning experiences and instruction activities. So here's where we're going to find out. We're going to do the things. So students will investigate the causes of the American Civil War. So they're going to look at primary sources, and they're going to do historical inquiry, and they're going to discuss, and they can discuss why the North and the South, what happened between the North and the South leading up to the Civil War. They can analyze sources and speeches and letters and documents, and they can talk about the causes of the Civil War. They can do group discussions, and they can debate key issues, and they can summarize their findings and outline their structure of their essays. And then they can indicate the evidence of primary sources. So there's where it all ties together. Step 1, step 2, and step 3, all coming together to, and this is how backward design works, with those 3 steps coming together like that. So you have your TEKS that you started out with, your objective, the essay is the information, and that's how they're going to construct a coherent argument supported by evidence. And then the activities are designed to scaffold students' understanding through historical inquiry. So that's it. So there's a conclusion right there. So starting with the end goals in mind allows us to build coherent and effective instruction. This process not only helps us as educators, but it helps make sure that we meet those expectations successfully. So let's apply this approach rigorously across all core subjects this year and maximize everyone's of our students' growth and learning. If y'all need anything, let me know. I'm here to help you. I've shared this PowerPoint with you, and there's all the resources that you'll need. There's all the websites as well, and I have an example of some essays and things. So there you go. Have a great day.